As is the case with every new Samsung release, there are quite a few new features introduced in each new iteration. So, depending on who you are, you may or may not find these useful, but let's take a look at some of the ones found in the Samsung Galaxy S5. Hey, it's Josh Regar from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And this is a feature-focused look at 5 new features found in the updated version of TouchWiz in the Samsung Galaxy S5. Alright, and here we are taking a look at some new features in the software of the Samsung Galaxy S5 in this feature focus. However, before I get to the short list that I have of the new software additions, I did want to show you some new enhancements to the overall experience that more or less may have been there before, but now have been given a bit of a different look or some different functionality. The first one is in the lock screen. Now, this lock screen is already pretty nice with all of the bright colors and whatnot, and this camera button down here that you slide up in order to go straight to the camera. But this widget up here is dynamic in that it will show something different depending on what application is playing in the background. And in this case, I have the Watch On or the Smart Remote app, depending on what model you have, displaying some buttons that I can use to control my TV. Now, from the lock screen, it is really nice to be able to do this. And in my case, I have my TV already playing some JK News, so you'll hear it in the background as I turn the volume up. And from there, we'll move right along into the first item on my list of new software additions, the My Magazine. Now, you can see here in the video already that, well, I was a little bit disappointed with the My Magazine offering, primarily because even if it piggybacks off of Flipboard, it actually doesn't do so to the extent that I would like. You can see that it's a curated list of categories there, and primarily the subscriptions that you have in Flipboard already set up won't really filter through here, as you have to pick from this particular list. Now, that's a bit of a bummer, but My Magazine does help you get your social media feeds to the My Magazine application itself, so it does allow you to sort of see a quick glance at what your friends are up to, if that's your thing. But when it comes to the news, it might be a bit of a hodgepodge of different outlets and different sources that won't really allow you to delve into what you really want to see. That being said, though, Flipboard is still a very powerful news aggregating application. Unfortunately, when it comes to the My Magazine, it uses Flipboard to sort of show you a very particular list of things, and ultimately when you click on an item, you might be going into an area of Flipboard that you pretty much don't really use anyway. The next piece of software on our list is one that technically was there already, but has been given new life primarily because of a new button layout. In the past, you had to hold the home button in order to get to the recent app screen, but now we have a recent apps button, as menu is not quite as needed, especially in these new versions of Android. So if we hit the recent apps button, we go straight to the recent apps screen, and we have a few options at our disposal. Not only do we have the list of applications that are right here that are shown in a pretty Samsung quintessential way, we also have a couple of options down here for clearing the entire list or going into a task manager, which is actually quite nice because it shows you how much memory is being used up at once. So if we head back to the recent app screen, it is a nice way of getting between all of your applications nicely. Much more like a stock-like experience in which you just have that for multitasking. So if you're not a big multi-window user, or even let's say a couple of other multitasking abilities that are in TouchWiz, and this is a little bit more your style because it's something that you're more used to, well, it's now available to you instead of having to wait for the recent app screen by holding down the home button. And this is definitely something that I enjoy doing because I'm used to this form of multitasking. Speaking of multitasking, there is one nice tool in the notification dropdown that you'll find called the Toolbox. Now, essentially, Toolbox is just a chat head, as you can see me dragging it around here, that gives you access to up to 5 applications that you can use for shortcuts in an easy way. That little chat head, as I keep calling it, the little toolbox, as it is called, will keep floating around no matter what application you're in, except for places like maybe games and the camera, but it is available for you to be able to jump between applications quite easily. It's almost like a somewhat different way of looking at your recent apps if you keep using the same 5 applications over and over again. And you can see here that in the settings you are able to choose the 5 applications from the long list that might be installed in your phone. Now here's one that I really enjoyed, and it's called the Download Booster. It pretty much sets out to do what it says, and that is make your downloads even faster for any files that are over 30 megabytes. In this case, I was doing 365 megabytes of a download of Plants vs. Zombies 2, and the Download Booster then uses Wi-Fi and your high-speed mobile data connection in tandem in order to download it as fast as possible. Let me tell you, it really works. This particular install happened in just this record amount of time. You can see in the notification drop-down how fast you're going and which connection is providing that speed, and ultimately it's a great way of just downloading large files from a number of different applications, including the Play Store, as you see here with this game. But also, one thing you have to remember is a fraction, maybe even half of this download was done using my mobile data, so I probably used up quite a bit of it, so don't get those overage charges. Just be careful when using the Download Booster. And in the final item on this